In our next segment, we'll catch up with MSU professor Kirk Goldsberry to find out how to use maps to better understand the retail food environment.
Hi, welcome to What's a 411. I'm Tiffany Lemieux-McKissic, and I'm here today with Kirk Goldsberry, who's a professor at Michigan State University. And he's here today to talk to us about his interesting research on food environments and mapping. So welcome, Kirk. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a professor at Michigan State, and I study geography, and I'm sort of the cartographer on campus. I'm the mapping expert on campus, so I teach courses in what's called GIS, or Geographic Information Systems, and my research usually involves mapping things in urban environments.
Awesome. So what are you guys doing around food systems? What does that mean?
Well, there are these things called food deserts, which are areas within cities that don't have ready access to healthy foods, and a lot of people have been talking about this issue in the last decade or so, but nobody's really been able to put their finger on where these places are within cities. So one of the things mapping enabled us to do is go in and actually visualize food access in a way that shows people that access within an urban area varies from very good to very bad within one city.
So are you particularly concentrated in Lansing or different across the state, or where are you looking at this?
We're looking at it right now in Lansing, East Lansing, the whole metropolitan area here. So there's about 300,000 people who live in Lansing and East Lansing, and what we try to do is really create a high resolution image of the food environment here in Lansing with special focus on retail availability of fresh produce in different parts of the city.
And so how does Lansing rate? How's it going here in Lansing?
Lansing is pretty typical. There are places within Lansing that are really good. We have a lot of good grocery stores, a lot of good organic markets, a lot of good farmers markets. However, just like almost every other city in the country, there are places where it's really inconvenient and really hard to attain fresh, healthy food. Particularly areas around East Lansing by the university, surprisingly. There's no grocery stores over
Really?
there. Yeah,
That is surprising.
and a couple areas here in Lansing we're kind of concerned about too, where it's not to say it's a food desert. There is food there, it's just unhealthy food. There's a lot of liquor stores, there's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of convenience stores, but there's not a really good produce section for some of the neighborhoods in this area.
So what do you feel like are the implications of this for the community? I mean, what does this mean to us?
Well, the first step, it should mean that we're aware of this issue, and that's really the first goal of the project, like I said, was to visualize this, to put a picture of the food environment in front of people's faces and say, look, it depends on where you live, and some people in this area, in some neighborhoods in this area, are at risk for obesity or diabetes because of environmental factors such as access to fresh produce. So, just raising the awareness was the first goal. After that, good maps enable decision makers to sort of mitigate the problem in different ways. For instance, with new farmers markets, or there are certain programs looking at getting fresh produce into quality dairies or some of the smaller markets in town that are really helping. But first we wanted to identify which areas needed that, so that people in positions of power could actually make good decisions about improving the food environment.
So what's the solution?
Oh, that's a big question. So what's the solution?
Yeah.
I think the solution involves a lot of things. Better markets, sort of working with market owners to say, hey, please stock fresh produce. You know, you're a really big resource in this community, and your community is sort of consuming food based on what certain retailers stock in their stores. So convincing them to stock healthier food is one big solution that we're working on. Another one, again, is to raise awareness that not only that people who live in a quote-unquote food desert live in a food desert, but where can they go to get healthy food? And the biggest thing, I think, is to teach people who have grown up in sort of disadvantaged nutritional areas as to how to cook. Because I think you might live right next to a supermarket with a giant produce section, but you might not know how to deal with a piece of broccoli or a potato even. And so getting people and organizations in the community to teach kids how to cook again, and the value of fresh produce, and how affordable and nutritious this can be for them, I think that's a big step as well.
So if someone wants to find out more about this, or they want to see these maps, where can
They
go?
can look at my website, go to the geography website of Michigan State University, and find my website. And there's all sorts of maps of the local area and different ways to looking at accessibility to fresh produce and other things in the food environment. And I'd encourage people interested in this to do just that. Go to the website.
Well, thanks so much. I have one last question for you.
Sure.
So what is your vision of Michigan? If there were no constraints and it could be any way, how would you picture it?
Well, in terms of food systems, I think that Michigan should sort of be more proud of the agricultural stuff that's going on here. And, second to California, you have so much diversity in the agriculture. You have fruits and vegetables, the envy of almost every other state. And you don't really see that shown in the markets or shown in the food environment. I feel, especially in the summertime, we could eat almost entirely Michigan products, and I'd like to be able to do that with supermarkets supporting those kinds of initiatives and restaurants opening up that supported all local food, because Michigan needs to be more proud of its agriculture and its food system.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today
Thanks
on
for
The
having
Bright Side, and good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks.